The book of Isaiah is one of the major prophetic books in the Bible. It contains prophecies of judgment, restoration, and the coming Messiah. Isaiah, a prophet in Judah, ministered during a turbulent time and warned the people of God's judgment while offering hope for redemption. Let's explore the profound teachings of this influential book. Isaiah served as a prophet in Judah during the reigns of several kings, including Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. He is known for delivering messages of both judgment and hope. Isaiah's prophecies warned of impending destruction due to sin but also pointed to God's promise of restoration and salvation through the coming Messiah. Isaiah's prophetic ministry began with a powerful vision in chapter 6. He saw the Lord seated on a throne, surrounded by seraphim, declaring God's holiness. Isaiah's response, "Woe is me," shows his awareness of his own unworthiness. After being purified, he answered God's call with the famous words, "Here am I, send me." This teaches us humility and willingness to serve God's purposes. Chapters 1 to 39 of Isaiah focus on God's warnings of judgment against Judah, Israel, and the surrounding nations. Isaiah calls out the people's rebellion, idolatry, and injustice. He emphasizes that God's judgment is inevitable if they do not repent. These chapters teach us that disobedience leads to consequences, and that God's justice is righteous and unavoidable. While Isaiah's early chapters speak of judgment, the book also contains messages of hope and redemption. Isaiah 40 marks a turning point, where God comforts his people and promises to restore them. This shift shows that, despite judgment, God's ultimate desire is to save and redeem his people. Isaiah teaches us that God's mercy is always available for those who turn back to him. Isaiah is most famous for its messianic prophecies, foretelling the coming of Jesus Christ. In Isaiah 7:14, we find the prophecy of the virgin birth, "Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." Isaiah 53 describes the suffering servant, pointing to Jesus' sacrifice for the sins of humanity. These prophecies show God's plan for salvation through Christ. Isaiah often speaks of a future kingdom where God's peace and justice will reign. In Isaiah 2:4, we read, "They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks." This vision of peace teaches us that God's ultimate plan is to establish a world where war, injustice, and suffering are no more, and his perfect peace reigns eternally. Isaiah consistently emphasizes the need to trust in God rather than human power. Throughout the book, the people of Judah are tempted to rely on alliances with foreign nations for protection. Isaiah warns them to trust in God alone, as he is their true source of strength. This teaches us that faith in God must come before trust in human wisdom or power. The book of Isaiah reveals God's sovereignty over all nations, not just Israel. Isaiah prophesies against various nations, showing that God's justice extends beyond his people to the entire world. God holds all nations accountable for their actions, and he will judge the wicked while saving the righteous. This teaches us that God's authority is universal, and his plan encompasses all creation. The book of Isaiah remains deeply relevant for modern readers. Its themes of justice, faith, and redemption continue to speak to those seeking to live according to God's will. Isaiah teaches us to trust in God's promises, even when circumstances seem hopeless. his prophecies of Christ remind us that God's plan for salvation is ongoing and will ultimately culminate in his eternal kingdom. Isaiah introduces the concept of the suffering servant, who would bear the sins of many, Isaiah 53. This prophecy is seen as a direct reference to Jesus Christ. The servant's suffering and sacrificial death would bring redemption to humanity. This teaches us that salvation is achieved not by human effort, but through the servant's willing sacrifice, offering hope and life to all who believe. The book of Isaiah offers timeless lessons on faith, judgment, and redemption. It teaches us the importance of trusting in God, even in difficult times, and highlights God's ultimate plan for salvation through the coming of the Messiah. Isaiah's prophecies of hope, peace, and justice remind us that God is always at work to redeem and restore his people. Thank you for exploring the book of Isaiah with us. We hope you've gained valuable insights into Isaiah's messages of hope, judgment, and salvation. May Isaiah's teachings inspire you to trust in God's sovereignty, rely on his promises, and embrace the eternal hope that comes through faith in his plan for redemption.